Now, as we discussed a moment ago, the unpronounceable names of God are derived from rotating the outermost circle of the Sigilum Dei Aemeth either clockwise or counterclockwise, according to whether the number appears above the letter or whether the letter appears above the number. Thus, the result would be to yield either a rotation clockwise around the Sigilum Dei Aemeth from one letter to the next according to the number given with that letter, or otherwise an opposite rotation around counterclockwise if the letter appeared above the number. Thus, the Sigilum Dei Aemeth is meant to be rotated either clockwise or counterclockwise in order to decipher this method of encryption. The earliest known device to utilize this form of method was called the Alberti cipher disk. The Alberti cipher disk, also called formula, is a cipher disk which was described by Leon Battista Alberti in his treatise De Ciphris of 1467. The device embodies the first example of poly-alphabetic substitution with mixed alphabets and variable period, and is made up of two concentric disks attached by a common pin which can rotate one with respect to the other. The larger one is called stabilis, stationary or fixed. The smaller one is called mobilis, movable. The circumference of each disk is divided into 24 equal cells. The outer ring contains one uppercase alphabet for plain text, and the inner ring has a lowercase mixed alphabet for ciphertext. The outer ring also includes the numbers 1 to 4 for the superencipherment of a codebook containing 336 phrases with assigned numerical values. This is a very effective method of concealing the code numbers, since their equivalents cannot be distinguished from the other garbled letters. The sliding of the alphabets is controlled by key letters included in the body of the cryptogram. Likewise, when we compare the Sigilum Dei Aemeth to the Alberti cipher disk method of encryption, what we find is that the Sigilum Dei Aemeth itself can act as a complex form of cipher disk, which includes as many as 4 and at least as few as 3 different levels upon which one can decrypt or encrypt the information based on the letters and numbers comprised therein. Regarding whether or not it can be rotated clockwise or counterclockwise, each of these layers contains at least 2 different types of interpretation for its information, such that there are levels of information for each rotation of each layer. Note that the star-shaped patterns can only be rotated an increment number of times according to the number of corners and sides that each of the patterns itself has. Thus, you can rotate them counterclockwise or clockwise, but you can only rotate the 7 shapes in 7 different ways, and the pentacular shape itself can only be rotated into 5 different positions. The result is such that there are 76 total recombinations for the different positions of the different letters and numbers on the Sigilum Dei Aemeth. A genuine cipher disk, despite the fact that Dee's own version of the Sigilum Dei Aemeth was actually engraven on wax. This apparent mystery becomes more easily dissoluble when we consider the relationship of the size of Dee's Sigilum Dei Aemeth to the size of his crystal ball used for skrying. The method of skrying, or reading through some form of object or another, has been applied throughout the centuries to water, crystals, and other forms of semi-transparent objects. Dee's use of it involved a crystal ball and the ability to read upside down and backwards through the glass conversely, and it was using this method of skrying that Dee comprised his entire Enochian system of encryption and decipherment.